Hi everyone, welcome to Philosophical Exploration, where we explore all aspects of the life experience. My name is Oleg Vydra, and today I want to tackle a question. I think it's one of the greatest questions. There's a few great questions of life, but what is enlightenment, right? For some people, when you start talking about that word, it is so foreign. Enlightenment is almost like, oh, you have super skills, you can fly, it's when you go to heaven, it's when you can talk to God, it's when you can do things that nobody else can do. You can turn, gold out of a rock and so on. But the reality is that the word enlightenment's been around for quite some time. We all know the most famous story, which is Buddha, over 2,500 years ago, sitting under the Bodhisattva tree. After learning about all the aches and pains and the suffering of the people, he wanted to go out there into the world, and he sat and he was figuring things out, and he tuned himself in with the forces of life and nature, and he attained enlightenment. What does that mean? What is enlightenment? If we begin to understand and define it more, then I think it becomes more realistic that we can actually attain an enlightened state of mind, that it is something attainable within this realm of life that we're experiencing today, not something after death, not something like heaven. Today, in this world, that's right, this world where there's all this chaos, all this craziness, because it's an enlightened state of mind, the outside world is always going to be happening the way it is, sometimes more intensely, sometimes less. And sometimes you have to deal with the things around you that may not be may not be easy, they may be challenging, but if you approach it from an enlightened state of mind and an enlightened point of view, you're going to be able to understand it more, and your actions and reactions about the things that are happening in this world are going to be different than if you're just reacting out of a state of mind that's not sure, that's in fear, that's in pain, that's just confused. And so let's come back. What is enlightenment? It's a great question. And if it is something that can be experienced by a living human being in today's realm, then let's begin to understand. Let's just ask ourselves, if I were enlightened, or if I were to meet an enlightened person, or if Buddha became enlightened, or if others who we believe were great masters and we call them enlightenment, what does that mean? It means that it is a person that is in tune with nature, that is balanced harmoniously with all the universe, with all of amazing people, with nature, with life around. And when we feel a person's presence like this, you can feel their energy, right? You can feel there's a difference. Some of us that have already been developing an enlightened state of mind, understanding the enlightened point of view, when we come across people like that, we can sense their energy. We can feel that they have truly developed their inner consciousness, their inner awareness, their understanding about life and the life experience. And we might even sometimes say, that person is enlightening. When you speak to him, you feel this. Or you might call that person enlightened, because there's no degree, there's nothing that really prove that anybody is. An enlightened human being doesn't really do something supernatural. It's about an energy, it's about a frequency, it's about a connection with life and the forces of nature itself. And so I think it's such a wonderful question. I've made it one of my inner journeys that is with me every single day now, and with my family. What is enlightenment, right? And you're never going to be bored again. You're never going to be tired of life, because anytime you have any extra time, you can ponder about life. You can ponder about what is enlightenment. What would it be if you were an enlightened human being? How would you act and react to certain things? How would you perceive things? It's also conscious awareness when all of a sudden something happens and you react. But in that moment, right as you're reacting, or just as you reacted, you take a moment and you look at your reaction and you think, that wasn't a very enlightening reaction, or that wasn't a very enlightening word or phrase that I said to somebody. And you reflect and you fine tune and you become aware of that, and you work on that inside of you, and your enlightened awareness begins to grow more and more. And then when you find yourself in those similar situations, you find yourself saying things that are more uplifting and enlightening, rather than putting something or someone down, rather than negatively looking at a situation, looking at everything as a positively challenging part of life experience situation. You start to realize, you feel this connection with all of nature, the sky, the clouds, the birds, the trees, the greenery, the growth, the life that is all around us, the life of the human beings, the life of all the animals, even the energy of a rock, of a tree. When was the last time you've hugged a tree? I know we've heard the saying, tree huggers, but really when you do it, you feel something quite remarkable when you hug a tree. There's energy there. And that's, again, when you become sensitive enough to feel that energy, then you feel that vibration everywhere. So you start to change your consciousness and awareness of the world around you. And because you start to change your consciousness and awareness of the world around you begins to change. And when you're in that frequency and energy, all of a sudden you attract more other enlightened human beings, or people developing a more enlightened state of mind within their life experience as well. And then together you might share, you might have these deep, great conversations, you might lift each other's spirits up, or you listen to other speakers, or there might be other people who call themselves masters or gurus. There's a lot of great information out there. It's amazing. I'm inspired by people all the time, and it raises my spirit, and then it makes me want to activate and say yes, and let me tell you what I've learned and realized, right? And when we're all adding to this, no matter how slow it seems now, right? Think about it on a scale of 100 years, 500 years, 1,000 years, more and more people that are awakening, right? More and more people that are developing an enlightened state of mind, more and more people that are starting to raise their children that way. It starts to begin with, as you have that awareness, you start to bring that knowledge and understanding into your kids' life, into your friends' lives, into the people around you life, and you start to affect, and more people awaken and start to go in this direction. And it's an energy and a force that builds, even though you've got this other machine of a force of everything that's happening that sometimes feels so negative, so hurtful, where you just want to give up on the world. There's also this powerful energy that's been around forever and will continue to be around, which is this enlightening spirit, the spirit of life, the spirit of unity, the spirit of connection. And so if you ever want to have faith in anything, if you want to ever have belief in anything, this is what I have faith in. I have faith in that human spirit. Really, it's a universal life spirit, right? We're meant to learn and grow and evolve and blossom like trees, like other living subjects on this planet, like anything that's living. It's growth. Life is growth in every essence of its word. So there's just so much when you start to open yourself up to this awareness that starts to happen around you. You start to see more. Your life becomes different. Your reality becomes different. Your perception becomes different. It almost seems like people start to act and react towards you differently because you're different, because we're all laws of attraction. We're all reflections, right? Depending most of the time. Of course, there's always exceptions, right? Sometimes you come into contact with a human being and you use your most amazing spirit and energy and just loving, and you're just, and that person, but when that person isn't able to see that side of you, it just means that they have deep sorrow and feelings that still need to be opened up, right? There's just layers to people. So sometimes, but I've noticed sometimes people that are a little cold, a little, like aloof, a little bit like, yeah, with your stuff. And then when you consistently be who you are in this enlightened spirit, in contact with them, as you continue to have any communication with them, all of a sudden, after 3, 4, 5 times, their layers start to peel, open up, and that beautiful, more enlightening, more lighter spirit starts to come out. Everybody has it. And of course, the exception is people that are so lost, that are so hurt, that is, let's just say, too much work that you can do in order to help that person. Then it's better not to be around that person. It's okay, because sometimes people that are that deep into it, we do what we can and then we move on, right? And that's the key. We do what we can, because all of us are limited with what we can do for certain people and how much time we can spend with a certain person to try and bring their spirit out. Because there are certain, let's call it karmas, certain realities of people, for whatever reason, they've already gone through such an experience in life. They're so, I don't want to use the word jaded. Let's just say they've just gone through so much hardship and so many things. It's hard for them And so we do what we can. When we come in contact with them, we simply say, I understand. There's probably certain circumstances in your life that created this person within you and this kind of action reaction that comes from you. And so I have to honor that, and I'm still going to give you my positive energy. I'm going to enlighten you. I'm going to inspire you whatever way I can, but then I'm also going to move on, you know? And then what happens is the more that the society becomes enlightened and the more that we collectively start to affect people like that who someday might be able to come to a more awakened state of mind. But that's very important, is that you yourself are not going to enlighten, inspire, evoke, awaken every person you come in contact with. It's very important to understand. So we do what we can when we come in contact with every human being. Let's just say, in a sense, we bless everybody that we can. We don't ask for anything in return. But we enjoy when we come across people who are on the same path, who you can connect with, see who you can become powerful with, so you can collectively have an effect like that on the planet. And so just like all the speakers, like I'm sitting here talking to you, I'm putting my energy and weight behind it, right? I'm coming to my own awakening and understanding about this life experience, these realizations, these moments, let's just say, right? These perceptions, these experiences, and I'm sharing it with you. And there's a lot of people sharing and recording and doing, and we're all part of that wave. And you're already inspiring and learning and going further. You're awakening, and maybe you somehow came across this video, or maybe we already know each other and you listen to this, and somehow I lift your spirit up and I inspire you, and maybe you listen to others and they do the same. And then there's your opportunity. You're talking to somebody and they have a certain point of view about life, a certain place they're trying to get out of, and you're able to say a few things to help them see the light, to enlighten them in a certain particular direction, to open them up, to help them awaken. We all play our part more and more and more and more, and it keeps going that way. And so, but one of the things is faith and belief that this is real. This is a real force of energy, and a choice that we make, that this is how I'm going to live my life. And it doesn't matter what you've done in the past. If in the past you haven't done anything that you deserve to be in jail for the rest of your life for, right? None of us are perfect. I have certain, I don't want to say I don't have regrets, right? I try really not to have regrets, because I believe everything was a life experience that was meant to be experienced in order for me to be where I am today. There are certain things, yes, knowing what I know today, if I would go back and I would be reliving those moments with my awareness and my consciousness from the state of mind of today, I would have probably said things differently, did things differently, organized things differently. But that's how it is. You can't go back, not yet at least, right? And so it's all that probably has played a role in my evolving lifestyle experience that now has brought me to here to say, I understand a lot of you. I understand a lot of things because I've gone through a lot of these things myself. I've been down and out. I've had success. I've had failure. I've had ups and downs. I've ridden the waves. I've ridden high. I've ridden low, in the middle. And so I understand people because I am a person myself as well. I'm not somebody higher than somebody else, but I'm devoted now with my family, to my family, and to the life experience, and exploring that if I have the courage to think, I want to live an enlightened state of mind in an enlightened world, how do I need to act, react, say things, understand things, perceive things? And I'm still not perfect, even though a lot of times I may have this force of energy. Things happen and I get a little bit knocked off that board, maybe that wave, get back on. And then you get back on and you ride even a longer wave. And then things do happen. You're going to slip, you're going to fall off. Most important part is deep breaths. And my wife reminds me of this so often. This is why we're such a great team, is because when I'm off a little bit, there's nobody that feels it first and the most than, let's say, my wife and my daughter, who can't speak yet. She's just under 1 year old. She's 11 months old. But she reads the energy in the house, right? And depending where I'm at, where her mom's at, how we are together, where we're at, is where she's at. And if something's off, she becomes off. And we look at her and we're like, something's off. And then we look at ourselves. That means something in us is off, right? And we all, sometimes she needs a little bit of a hug, a little bit of a support, a little bit of inspirational energy. Sometimes I need that, so it's very important in a family, in a union, in a partnership of any sorts, for both people to try and walk this line together as as a family, or as two people, or as a group, or like all of us who are on this planet collectively trying to do it. There are so many people that I love listening to that are involved in so many different ways, and have, whether they speak for free for people to listen to on YouTube, or and then on top of it they sell certain courses and things like that, because money in business is part of the life experience. Nothing wrong with that. It adds value to something. When people do something, if they've paid for it, they value it a little bit different. They maybe give it a little bit more attention. It means this direction is important to them. But, I always like to say, you are your one and only true master, your one and only true guru. Now, all the other people out there that are also masters and gurus and inspirational speakers and inspirers and bloggers and YouTubers and writers and philosophers, I love all the information that everybody is downloading for all of us to share and upload. And it goes all the way back thousands of years. Philosophers, writers, right? And everything along the way. Religions, they play their role too. There's a lot of good word. There's a lot of good purpose in religions. Unfortunately, over time, people have taken advantage of it in such a way that they've structured it to allow, have the religion help them gain power, money, control over other people's minds. And so I believe that unless a person's ready to step out, truly on a journey of the life experience, enlightenment, exploring faith, having your own connection, not needing to depend on any middle person, your own connection with God, with nature, with universe, with God consciousness, with cosmic consciousness, to be able to say that, to mean it, to be that for yourself, then maybe you do need a religion or some kind of a systematic structure, because that's where you're at right now, to help you have that understanding. And maybe that's your starting point, right? And then and maybe that's where you are in this lifetime, and you're going to be devoted to that. But there's more and more people waking up to this greater experience, where we have to take a lot of responsibility onto ourselves as an evolving human being that is beyond any one religion, that is beyond any one system, that is beyond any one person, that is beyond any one structure. It's this most expansive, universal consciousness, awareness, and that is something you can only do for yourself, within the frameworks of society and within the frameworks of other people who are all around you and other people who are all connecting. And the outside world sometimes is going to be crazy and spinning, and you have to try to keep your sanity and balance and positivity and faith and belief in life, in God, in nature, in universe. And when I use the word God, right away, many of you are like, God, what do you mean by that? Who's your God? Just the word God. God is, it's source energy, it's spirit, it's some kind of a source energy that came together so perfectly, that has the cosmos aligned, the galaxies aligned, the planets aligned, the sun shining, the rainfall, and the leaves whistling, and oxygen created, and so on. There's some kind of a unifying force that somehow came to be, that somehow got created, and somehow I feel there's some kind of a source energy. I just don't have the absolute answer for you. And anybody who says they do, well, I would be at question with that. I think there's a lot of theories. Theories are just fine, just fine. But I think the reality is that most people don't know. And we are on a journey of discovery and going deeper and deeper and becoming more and more aware, and which allows us to be more and more stable, more and more happy, more and more unified, more and more enjoying this life experience. How many people we come across today that are not really enjoying what this life experience is all about, even though it is so majestic and so incredible. And at the end of their life, somehow they still don't really want to die. Most people don't want to. If they could live on longer, they would. At the end, people realize, this life experience is a pretty awesome thing. You have billionaires at the end of their life would say, I'd give up all the billions and millions and everything if I could just relive life all over again. I'll figure it out. Just the life itself, I've realized, is the most valuable thing, right? The enjoyment of looking at I'm looking right now at a white cloud, blue sky. There's beautiful greenery behind me. There's an ocean in that direction. I can't see it now because I'm on this side of the house. There's a lot of beautiful things, and there's a lot of things that we can focus on that may not seem so beautiful, but it's all part of the balance. For whatever reason, that source energy wanted us to feel it, to work within these paradigms, within these shifts, these understandings. And part of questioning what is enlightenment, it's a deep question that you can be with every day for the rest of your life. And it's developing a lot of things internally and externally, because our life is a combination of internal and external. Unfortunately, too many people are connected to the external life, and some people are beautiful. They're very deeply inside, and that's great. They sit somewhere, they meditate. That's wonderful if they're able to do that. But all of society can't do that, right? We have a society that's got billions, 7, 8, 9, soon billion people on this planet. So we're going to be interacting, we're going to be focusing. There's cities, there's development as a consciousness collectively. And so we have to learn how to function, and how to function in a more enlightened state of mind, in a more unionized way. And of course, when you even say that union, there's unions, in business and work. Union of human potential, union of the human society. And we have a long way to go, because if you look at the past, it's always been, we've divided this planet into languages, into business, into countries, into religions, and everybody's fighting within themselves and externally, and there's so much energy that goes into that. And I believe all of this is actually the process that's going to help us also, the contrast that makes us all realize about this other realm, other realization of life, this deep experience where you can ask things like, what is enlightenment? And what would I be like? How would I act, react, smile, speak, understand, perceive, do anything in business and life and family if I was enlightened? And if enlightenment is within the living realm of life, not afterlife, not in previous life, within the living realm of life, I think it's a wonderful question. I would like to have interviews and dialogues with people who are interested in this kind of questions. I'd like to go deeper into it. I'd like to keep studying it, exploring it, keep having realizations, and keep recording more videos in this regard. So this will be the first in this direction. Of course, if you have your own thoughts about your own journey, about your own inner knowledge, understanding, share it with us on YouTube, with me. Let's all add to it in our own spiritual, beautiful way. And let's continue the discussion. What is enlightenment? Some of you probably remember there was even a magazine. I think it was Edward Cohen who had courses and had the magazine and had a website. I remember reading it. I haven't for a long time. I don't even know if it's around anymore. I don't see it around. But I think it's a great question. Obviously, there's Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, where he's, did the Fairfield Yoga community. There's meditators all over the world who gain a lot of great knowledge and peace through meditation. And one of the things that they talk about, and in some ways almost promise, that if you meditate twice a day, someday you'll be enlightened. Meditating is really a form of connecting with your inner self, and it's from the inner self that enlightenment can grow into the outer world. I've met too many people that do meditate, talk about it, but in the outer world, for some reason, they don't bring that out, and they're not very enlightening as a human being in the outside world. It has to connect. The inner and the external world have to connect for us to be an enlightened being when we're in meditation and when we are functioning, living, breathing in our active society. Life becomes a state of meditation. Life becomes a state of enlightenment. So it's a beautiful journey. Sign up onto my YouTube channel. Write things, say things. Let's get this going. Let's see where it goes. And I look forward to speaking with everybody soon again. I love recording these videos because I'm on this journey of inner inquiry, like inner engineering, consciousness engineering. You've heard all these words. We're going to talk about all that more. I'll see you soon.